Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this second session of the SCPG Tourism and Hospitality Forum 2021. Welcome to those who have joined us and also thank you for those who stay with us and have been here with us from this morning. So my name is Norma Stura binti Osman. I am the lecturer cum program leader for the School of Hospitality, SEGi College, Penang. Our session today is about travel bubble. The topic will be about travel bubbles reopening. How prepared is the hotel industry? So travel bubble is actually also known as travel corridor or Corona corridors, an essential exclusive partnership between two or more countries that are demonstrated considerable success in containing and combating COVID-19 pandemic within their respective borders. So Malaysia is actually eyeing a trial borders reopening for the international tourists next month after nearly 2 years of closure. So Ministry of Tourism also have finalized a list of 10 countries who fully vaccinated citizens will be allowed to participate. So as the government also aim to nurse back our economy from the coronavirus hit, right? So to discuss this topic with us today, we have suitable candidates, suitable panelists, experts, and also experience in hotel and tourism industry. Our first panel for today is actually Mr. Reginald. Mr. Reginald is an honorary secretary for Malaysia Associations of Hotel Kedah and Perlis chapter. He is also the president and CEO of Ariana Hospitality International with more than 30 years industry experience in hotels, education and training. He has been involved in the development of American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute in Malaysia for more than 20 years. In June 2018, Reginald was awarded Mr. Reginald was awarded with honorary certified hotel administrator by the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute, and this recognition was only given to four in the world. So this recognition, so very impressive. Congratulations, Mr. Reginald. And then our second panelist is Mr. Eddie Effendi. He is the lecturer, Kuliah Hospitality and Creative Arts, Sultan Abdul Halim Muazzam Shah International Islamic University, UniShams. Mr. Eddie have a strong background in hospitality and hotel management as he pursue his education in hotel management program throughout his diploma and master degree. He is also the head of industrial linkage and community engagement in UniSham. He has been involved in lots of tourism and hospitality program and development. And one of the most memorable activities is when he was appointed as one of the secretariat for the World Curry Festival Malaysia. Congratulations, Mr. Eddie. Okay, all right. So before we start with our sharing session for today, I would like to go further deep in a little bit on the travel bubbles. So the government of Malaysia have announced our country first tourism green bubble by allowing domestic travelers to travel to Langkawi Island on September 16 this year. So with this bubble, which considered as actually it is considered as experimental, industry player hope and also pray that more travel destination can be opened as travel bubbles in the addition to the government tourism recovery plan. So the opening up for more destination is very important. It is very crucial in reviving the tourism industry, and domestic tourism is if it depends only on the domestic tourism, it is not sustainable. So that's why we are opening up for more international travel bubbles. So because of that, we would like to invite our first panel, Mr. Reginald, to share with us the insight. Okay, Mr. Reginald, can you share with us about the hotel situation from the recent travel bubble reopening?
A very good morning. First of all, thank you, SEGi College Penang, for inviting me to be part of this event and being a panel member. Thank you, Mastura,
Welcome.
as the moderator for this, and all those involved in this webinar forum. Uh, I think everyone was really looking forward to the reopening of Langkawi as a travel bubble after almost, as Mastura highlighted earlier, after almost 2 years of lockdown. Though we did have some windows where there was some relaxation in the travel, domestic travel, but that again, it was not very consistent because we opened up for 2 months and then we closed again and then we opened up again for 2 months and closed. So people were getting very, very skeptical about traveling. And of course, what made matters worse was that the numbers, right, the COVID numbers kept increasing
Yes.
to such an extent that people suddenly realized that it was not safe anymore and they decided to stay indoors. Uh, my company, Adriana Hospitality Management, manages the Tanjung Resort in Langkawi, and we also decided to make a business decision to temporarily suspend operations for 4 months this year. So we closed in June, and even though the travel bubble in Langkawi reopened effective from 16th of September, we decided to hold our opening until the 1st of October because we wanted to see how was Langkawi going to handle this influx of tourists coming in, and we wanted to make sure that SOPs were put in place. Now, since the first lockdown last year, which was March 18th, when the government then allowed travel, which started sometimes towards the end of May and June for locals, and then of course interstate was allowed in July. We had already put a list of SOPs, which is the new norm that had to be observed with the opening. All right, this was based on the SOPs determined by KKM and Ministry of Tourism, and these SOPs have been in place since last year. Now, over the months and over the last 12 months or so, we have improved and enhanced the SOPs of the resort based on updates and revised SOPs by the relevant uh, government agencies. We have also applied and we are certified clean and safe. Now, clean and safe is a certification given by the internationally recognized certification body, Bureau Veritas, and it's endorsed by the Ministry of Tourism as well as the Malaysian Association of Hotels. Now, that is, of course, a plus factor for any hotels who have this clean and safe certification because a very rigorous audit was conducted by Bureau Veritas at the resort to ensure that we comply with COVID SOPs. So it makes guests feel very safe that we are doing this. Now, in preparation for the travel bubble, we put additional SOPs in place. First of all our staff are fully vaccinated. We have put in sanitization of rooms, which are done every after every checkout. All rooms are sanitized uh, before the next guest checks in. After it's sanitized, the room is inspected. We seal the room. The room is sealed with a security seal, and we have little signages, doorknobs that says the room has been sanitized. This gives, we have found that this gives guests a sense of satisfaction that we have gone through such stringent measures to ensure that their stay will be safe. In addition, we limit the number of individuals who can have breakfast, even though Langkawi under the travel bubble, Langkawi is considered phase four. Phase four of the recovery program, the national recovery program, uh, which means phase four, right? There's a lot of relaxation on the number of people who can dine in, but for our own security and for our own safety and for the safety and well-being of our guests, we continue to limit breakfast to 40 people per day, people per session. So we spread out the breakfast session over 4 hours, and there's not more than 40 people at the all-day dining restaurant during breakfast. The plus advantage I think that we have as a resort is that being a resort, we do not have air conditioning outlets except for one. So all our outlets are actually open air. All right. So there's a lot of fresh air coming in, which is also
Mm.
a plus point uh, on the possibility of the virus being uh, spread to anyone if there's any virus or anything. We also test. I think we're the only hotel. I can safely say that we are the only hotel in Langkawi that we test all our staff. Each and every staff is tested on a weekly basis using
Oh.
our COVID self-test kits, and it's compulsory for everyone to do a test every week, including me. I'm not excluded, even though I may be the CEO or president. I have to do it myself. Today, in fact, for my department, in fact, for the executive office, the testing is today, Friday. So I'll be doing
Oh.
my test after the session. Uh, so we also have established a COVID compliance committee. Now, the COVID compliance committee is headed by our events, special functions head of special functions, and we also under this COVID committee, we have a lot of documentation that needs to be done. And we also have safety ambassadors. So we have also appointed safety ambassadors within the resort who have experience in handling any issues related to COVID. They've gone through training, and they also do walk around the resort to check on guests as well as staff to ensure that they comply with SOPs that have been put in place. Example, I'll give you an example is at the restaurant. If a guest, you see, it's compulsory for guests to have their face mask on when they are going
Mm.
to take their food for breakfast. So if a guest is not doing it, then one of the safety ambassadors will advise the guests to wear their mask. The same goes for guests walking around the resort. All right, if they see them not wearing their mask, uh, they will then approach the guest, of course, politely and tell them, as part of our SOPs, could you please wear your mask. Now, for the staff it is compulsory, and we also have our own staff who are working in the back of the office who also go and check to ensure that staff are also complying to the SOPs that are put in place.
Mm.
So from the time a guest comes in at the entrance, we are quite lucky because there's only one entrance to the resort, and it's you have to go through a boom gate to be able to come into the resort. So at the boom gate, the security personnel will then go through the My Sejahtera status of whoever is coming in, whether it's staff or whether it's guests. They go, they check the My Sejahtera status, they do the temperature, and they make them scan at the entrance before they're allowed to come in. Now, if anyone does not uh, is not complying with the SOPs that we put in place. Example, the My Sejahtera says, suspect case or confirmed case, they will not be allowed into the resort.
Mm.
If their temperature is not the temperature that is they need to conform, they will be asked to wait for a while, and the temperature will be taken again. And if the temperature is still above the normal temperature, then they will not be allowed entry into the resort. So I think there's been a change from the norm. I think Mr. Eddie will also echo that. It's no more what it used to be pre-COVID. All right, and I think guests and the public in general are also now complying with a lot of things, and they have managed to get used to it. Maybe initially they could not get used to this new norm, but now the more and more I've been observing, the more and more I go and visit other hotels and talk to colleagues at other hotels, we find that guests understand why we are doing this. Guests understand there is a need for them to also comply, and it's something that we have to live with. This virus is not going to go away. All right, we have to be prepared to live with it, and it's just we just have to adapt our life to this new way of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reginald. That relates to my second question. I have planned to ask you about the policies and norms, and I understand that in your hotels, you have implemented, based on the government SOP, you have implemented a lot of policies. You have clean and safe, and then you also have the compliance committee, and then you make sure that all staff have been will be tested every week, and then there are also safety ambassadors, so which is there's a lot of new SOP have been added with the original SOPs that we have pre-COVID time. So with all these changes in the policies that you have implemented, is there any additional that you would like to share? And beside that, I would also love to know if what is the acceptance or rejection from the staff and also the guests on all these policies and also implementation that you have mentioned here just now.
Okay, thank you. All right, just to add on, of course, the staff understand, all right, why we have to do this. We had a few town hall sessions with them before we opened. We explained to them why we need to put this in place. All right, we want they fully understand. Uh, we also before the opening, in fact, we tested the day before we opened. We tested all the staff, and so they're now used to it. Okay, maybe initially we have issued them letters of this nature on why we need to do this. They understand. We also have guests who also understand. I mean, we still have guests who are trying to. We have had guests who try to make bookings who haven't been vaccinated, uh, and we after accepting the booking, they then tell us actually we have not been vaccinated, and we are told that we will not be allowed to the resort. So we have to politely tell them the fact that you're not vaccinated, you won't be able to travel as well. You know, so you have to understand, and you need to know why we are doing this. It's not a resort policy; it is a government policy. It is a policy by the relevant authorities, and I think that guests who are coming here fully understand. You know that even when they come in, what we also do is their luggage is sanitized at the lobby as well. So we spray sanitize it on their luggage, okay, and they understand.
Mm.
They say we are very impressed by your SOPs, right? Sometimes there is a delay. We also control the number of guests who are allowed to check in at any one time because we don't want the lobby to be congregated with a lot of
Mm.
people. So we limit the check-in process to 3 rooms at any one time. So you're looking at maximum of 6 to 10 people. Let's say if you come in a family, you're looking about 6 to 10 people at the lobby at any one time, and only when we have cleared the those who have checked in, then only we allow new guests to come in. So sometimes there's a bit of a queue at our entrance because guests are waiting to come in, and they fully understand. You know, I've spoken to guests and they said we fully understand what you are doing. We appreciate what you all are doing. They said it's it's sometimes an inconvenience, but we understand and we understand and we appreciate this because you see sometimes the turnaround time for a room, all right, used to be maybe half an hour
Mm.
to clean the room might have been half an hour. Now
Mm.
because of the entire sanitization process, all right, it takes anything between 45 minutes to 50 minutes. So there is
You
a
take
delay
better.
in
Mm-hmm.
us being able to turn around the room. The same goes
Mm.
for dining tables. All right. So if you're dining for breakfast, the moment you get up, you cannot give that same table to another guest. The table needs to be sanitized first. Only then. So there is a delay. Uh, I know sometimes initially, I said initially, some of the guests found it. a bit irritating, right? And they kept insisting, the table is empty. Why can't I have that? And we have to explain to them, no, we need to sanitize before we allow someone else to sit in. And I think, as I said, the public in general, all right. I think the public in general now, all over. Not only let's not only talk about Langkawi. Let's talk about all over. Have learned to accept this fact, and they've learned to accept the new norms. I mean, I know that when I was in KL for 4 months, because when the hotel suspended operations, I went back to KL, and there was one particular outlet which I wanted to go to, and they said, in order for you to come in, we want you to do a COVID test first, then only you can come in. All right. So people, there are outlets that do to go to that extent. And when the Langkawi travel bubble was first when it first opened up, all those who are coming to Langkawi had to do a COVID test before they are allowed to enter the island. All right, that has since been relaxed because they have opened other borders, other destinations. But I think that was a very, very intelligent move by authorities, because I think they wanted to control and make sure that the people from out of Langkawi does not bring the virus into Langkawi again, or carry it and create another cluster. So I thought that was a very, very good initiative by the relevant authorities.
Thank you, Mr. Reginald, for your sharing. I do agree with you, because when we handling people in terms of service and so on, we will usually meet up with very limited numbers of people who are impatient. They sometimes they don't want to follow the rules and SOPs and so on, but very limited, those kind of
Yes,
people.
yes.
Mm.
It's
People
just a very, very, very small portion only.
very small portion, but the large portion are those people who, whatever you do, we will follow as long as we get to travel.
Yes, and we get to enjoy the beach.
Yes, because they have been at home for so long. Everyone is eager to go out. I also like to visit your place one time, because maybe in future, because I also never went to Tanjung Ru before, so maybe
Well, you
I
better
should.
come. You better come. It's just 40 minutes away.
Okay, okay, sure. One day, sure. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Reginald. We will come back to you later on. We will move forward for our questions with our next panel, which is Mr. Eddie. We would love to hear some of your opinion on the because we were talking about uncertainties, numbers of COVID cases.
Exactly.
So if you can share with us, what is your opinion on this, and also on the challenges of those IPT that have a hospitality program because of these uncertainties, and we are not so sure and so on. So, what is your opinion on this?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mastura. First of all, I would like to thank to Mr. Lee for inviting me, and also Ms. Sabrina for having me in this such an amazing forum, actually. And I would like also to welcome Mr. Reginald to be paired with me as a panelist for this fabulous program. So thank you, everyone. So, and good afternoon, actually, to everyone. So to the participants and everyone. All right, so back to your question, Ms. Mastura. So as we can see that this COVID-19 has actually tremendously changed the whole system in the hospitality. It is not only affected the people who are working in the hotel, but the whole people who are working in these industries. So the tourism side, the logistic, the operators, what's what we call the transportation operators, the F&B operators, and everyone actually. So, but if we are talking about this demand curve and all, so I can share you guys with what we can see that. The Asia actually has become a major destination of international tourism over the past 2 decades, and the Southeast Asian itself reported received 97.6 million international tourists in a year of 2018, and this have what it have actually portrayed. The demands in the industry will be back as the COVID-19 has slowed down and whatsoever. But then we can see the statistic provided by LADA, who are actually the the agency who have recorded all the statistic, the tourists who come over in the Langkawi. So it have reported since the year of 2014 until the year of 2018 is stagnant, just like more than 3.8 million people who come over to Langkawi for the travels. But in the year of 2019, it has been dropped. Sorry, in the year of 2020, it has been dropped to the numbers of 1.3 million visitors only. But then with the implementations or what the preparations done by the government and the operators itself, so we believe that it will increase back the numbers of people who come over to the Langkawi. And we can also see that the national, no, the what we call it, the organization have reported have lost 135 million ringgit in only at only Effendi sites. So during last year, so it is a big number for the operators especially. So as the COVID-19 crisis is like a 2008 crisis, which is led to a substantial drops of demand where the customer or the consumer don't consume or the guests also don't do the booking. So that we are also have a face the same crisis where we have influenza, MERS, H1N1, but this COVID-19 actually has a biggest impact on the industry. So we can see that the finding also have found that the why the numbers of the tourists are slowing down because they are scared they are avoiding using the public transportation. So as we can see, in Europe, they have done a study. So it found that 75% of the participant or the respondent have marked that they are scared to use the public transport. And also, in early stage of COVID-19, Hong Kong has reported 40% of the respondent, they are also avoiding using the public transport, and these have made a change actually on the sector of tourism itself. So, but recently, when the gates are open back, so for the people to go for the travels, for the vacations in the Langkawi itself, when they start on the 16th of September, right? So it shows that the numbers of people who are visiting Langkawi so have actually increased to 12,000 of tourists visited Langkawi from the date of 6th of September to 20th of September. So if we are talking about the demand curve, so it would definitely increase and change by the time of COVID getting slowing down and everyone get what we call that the vaccination. Okay, right. So and back to your second question just now, Ms. Mastura. So yes, I have to admit that we're having a problem in terms of getting a numbers of students who are coming to pursue their studies in this hospitality and tourism program. So it's a quite sad number actually. I know that everyone, so all the IPTs, especially the private institution, having the same problem. So where they are having hard time to get numbers of the student. So actually, it is not about the School of Hospitality and Tourism. It's impacted the whole what we call intakes in programs in the university or the colleges. So then what we can do actually now, so with this new norm of learning way, so where we have to do the online, we don't actually expose them to the hands-on program or the attractiveness of the program, right? So we are staying at home, listen or do things through online. So it doesn't like actually giving us much exposure to the reality of the program or the course. So what we can do next actually, how to get the numbers of the student get back to the IPTs to pursue their studies, especially in the hospitality and tourism. So we have to work along with the industry players actually, so to show them not there's nothing wrong to work or to stay in this industry, and it will booming when it's come to the time. So no what we call that is just like a yeah, we are facing a hard time at this moment. So in convincing them, actually the parent also when they are asking us about the what we call the future of this program of their children if they're taking this program. So maybe Mr. Reginald, we could work along in the future actually to plan on what actually we can do to get more students to come actually to stay in this industry in the future. So yeah, I always believe that we have how to get them back into this program. It's just like to is to to what to make it or to come up with more programs, which is to work along with the industry, to make them believe that the industry is good for them to stay or to work with. Thank you, Mastura.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eddie. I also agree with you because we're also experiencing the same thing. The industry affected, and also the education line also affected because
Yeah,
of everyone is affected with this COVID, because the parents, because of the salary and so on. So we have difficulties in terms of numbers of
yeah,
doing classes, and a lot of other challenges that we are facing, and a lot of people also have the mindset of this industry is going to die. It have been on the sleep mode for so long, but when the travel bubble reopen, we can see that it is like suddenly everything open up again, because I'm staying in Butterfringi area, so I can see that from a ghost town for the past few months, suddenly it become a very happening town again, for these past few days, past few weeks. Okay.
exactly. That's why what the government has been doing now is to focusing on the domestic travelers. So that is what the hoteliers should prepare actually.
Just,
Okay.
just, just to add on to what Mr. Eddie said, there's
Sure,
Yeah, yeah,
two
sure,
areas
Mr.
I just want to touch on. Uh, since the opening of the travel bubble in Langkawi, for 1 month from September 16 to October 15, we have had 100, just over 100,000 arrivals, all right, both by land, by sea. And then LADA predicts that for the month of November, they expect another 100,000 to come in just for November, all right. And then for December, they're expecting about 200,000.
Exactly.
Uh, so that's a very, very encouraging figure.
Yeah,
And I also agree with you all that uh, people are now shying away from studying hospitality management, all right, because they
yes.
find that what happened in the last 18 months, the this industry is very volatile, all right.
yeah,
They don't feel secure anymore. We have lost a lot of staff, not because we laid them off. They felt that it
No
is
future.
really volatile. They don't feel secure. Some of them, a lot of them have left the island. Some of them have decided to go into other industries which they feel is more secure, and we need to build up confidence again. And I'm very sure that within the next couple of months, by the end of the year, with the international borders opening,
yeah,
of course, Langkawi again is going to be the pilot project. Uh, these kids who were formerly in the industry are slowly going to come back because they find that it is still quite a lucrative industry. All right, it's just that of what has happened over 18 months has put them in a very difficult situation. Some of them became food panda, they were doing grab food, some of them opened their little old business,
Yes.
and they felt that at least they were getting something. So I think it's just a temporary thing. Okay, but once things get back to normal, you will see people coming back to industry, and you'll see that school leavers will then consider hotel management again as a preferred choice. Because when I was interviewed in another session a couple of months back, they asked me, "What would you encourage? Would you advise somebody who's looking for a job in the hotel to come and join the industry now because of what's happening?" I said, "Actually, this is the best time for them to join. All right, because none of us have experienced this kind of a pandemic in our
Yes.
lifetime. All right, and we have learned a lot. We have learned a lot over the last 18 months. We have learned to think out of the box. We have learned to do a lot of things. And anyone who had joined us, in fact, even during the lockdown, if any student had come and they wanted to do their internship with us, we would have taken them because they would have learned a lot in the last 18 months, which I don't think they will ever be able to learn again. All right. I hope there won't be another pandemic, but
Yes. Yes.
I don't think they will ever be able to get this kind of experience that that we have experienced over the last 18 months. Thank you.
But actually,
Thank
Mr. Regina is a kind of a good experience to the student also because we are now implementing SOPs and all that. It's much more
Exactly. That's
cleaner
right.
and
Yeah.
safe, right? So the
True.
student,
True.
yeah.
I agree.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Eddie, for your sharing for the first questions. It's very informative. Thank you also, Mr. Reginald, for the additional sharing with us. So moving forward, it is almost with the first questions. Actually, I would like to know if you have any input on this matter. Maybe we can create a strategies or any packages that can innovate or improve our hospitality sector. Mr. Eddie.
Okay, thank you, Mastura. So I'm not someone who are from the industry, but maybe I can recommend some of the strategies that the industry could be used in order to get back the confidence and also to get the numbers people who are coming to the place. So all right, so the first one, because of the pandemic, so you have already changed the consumer behavior. The first thing maybe we can understand the post-COVID guest behavior because they are much more particular on the hygiene and the hotel must be sanitized and so on. And I believe that the hotel have all implemented the procedure, the SOP procedures before or now during the guest stay and so all that. But that some of the hotel they may not practice this, but why not that if we can get the that this will be actually to tarnish a bit the perceptions of a tourist who are coming over to stay in the hotel. I would like to share my experience when I go to hotel, one of the hotel in Langkawi in the past 2 weeks. So because the hotel actually they didn't do the checking on us, so I have to
Mm.
ask myself. So that is what we are having a problem. What the perceptions of the tourists because maybe there's some of the hotel may practice it just like what Mr. Reginald said. Yes, they have practiced it, but then some of the hotel they may not practice. So what we can do is to make sure that all the hotels have actually doing all the procedures of SOPs. And the second one, maybe we have to make use of our digitalization priority. So because we can see that nowadays the social media has taken place, especially like a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, in order to market their what we call the packages or whatever informations about the hotel. So then we have to also to optimize the website design at this time being maybe because some of the website doesn't get updated. So then this would be a good time for the operators. The hoteliers to see again at their websites. And what we can do also to record the video in terms of our procedures, in terms of what activities that we are doing at the hotel, and share in the social media to just to build the confidence again among the tourists especially. And what we can also to do is to interview the staff and the guests, and and they could share their experience. Maybe they from their experience of staying in the hotel will boost up again the numbers of people who are coming to the hotel. So then the staff also what we call that so the experience in what we call that what we call practicing the routine of us COVID-19 SOP and all that. So is it difficult for them or how? And I think this is all things that we haven't been told in the social media. I think the hotelier should take place in there. So, and we are also actually, Mastura and Mr. Reginald, we have planned in our subject actually to work along with the homestay in Kedah area. So we have choose actually one of the homestay to work along with them, so to get their childrens of the operators because they are the people who are always with the social media with the phones, right? So nowadays people who spend their most time with phones rather than book. So then why
Yes.
not we have to get them to create like to promote what are the products that they have in their place. So then and put it up on the social media and all. So that is what we can do to help uh, the the sector or the industry to boost up again because we know that the government are concentrating more on um, domestic tourism,
Mm.
domestic tourists. So why not we help this what we call that, the homestay operators to be in the industry again. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie. I'm quite impressed with this collaboration idea with the homestay people, so that you make use of the kids who love to play with phone to do the promotions for their parents' homestays, activities, and so on. It's quite
Exactly.
impressive.
Because
Thanks. Ed.
we can't get the operators because they are all elderly, right? So,
Yes.
and we have to capture, we get to get close to the youngsters,
Younger,
the
yes.
and the futures generations of the homestay. So we can also actually work along with the hotel operators to get the students to the hotels and help the hotels to bring again the confidence among the people to come and stay in the hotel by producing a good video or to post up in the social media. Maybe Mr. Regina, I have something to add.
Mute, yeah, mute,
Mr.
Mr. Eddie.
Regina, the microphone, Mr. Regina.
Something is wrong with this. I mean, I think it's a very good idea. All right. This is something that, in fact, we are talking to one of our partners to do a short video clip on our new SOPs and how we can use that to promote and give guests more confidence. Uh, and as you said, and now it's TikTok and TokTik, and I don't know what's happening. Everybody seems to be on a TikTok mode, but I think yes, social media and digital marketing is the way forward. The print media is something that is a thing of the past. Everyone is on social media, and I think that the fact that I'm sure even the colleges and universities have a subject on using social media now for marketing rather than print media. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Regina. Thank you, Mr. Eddie. We are now done with our first session, so we are going for a very, very short break, about 5 minutes, to give way for our promotional videos and for the panels to refresh themselves for a while. Then we will follow with the second sessions. Okay, welcome back everyone. All right, before we move on with the following questions for our panels, those who have questions for our panels, please post your questions in our chat. Later, we will choose few questions for our panel to answer. Okay, so you can post it either you are viewing from YouTube or from our Facebook account. You can post it in our chat. Later, we will choose your questions and we will post it to our panels. Moving on with our session, we would like to hear from Mr. Reginald on the following questions. As we navigate to the global crisis, hotels and resorts need to pivot their service culture. So, how do you see this happening?
Well, uh, yes, we need to. Our service culture has changed with the new norm, with the new SOPs, and certain things that we used to do. Example, I give you a very good example on in-room dining. All right, in-room dining. Previously, we used to serve it with the full bells and whistles. All right, with plates, food covers, and all that. But now, in-room dining is served in a bento box. How we want to go back, because how we want to go back to those good old days is something now that we are discussing, because we do not want to rush into this. This is just one good example. Uh, and even the staff, they are all wearing gloves and all that kind of
Hmm.
thing. It might not be so, people might find it really strange to have staff serving wearing gloves and all that, but these are the kind of things that we need to look at. There's no more body contact, there's no more handshakes. All right, the warmth might not be there, but luckily in the Malaysian hospitality industry, we greet guests by putting our arm on the across the shoulder. So that is a plus point. So it doesn't have to be body contact. So
Hmm.
service cultures are going to change. Service cultures will continue to change, but I think it is a matter of us getting used to it. All right, standards that we had put in place before might not be applicable now because of this new SOPs, and I think we will seek the assistance of the various institutions of higher learning, because I'm sure we have to work together. You all have to also change your service cultures and what
Hmm.
the students are taught at the university or in the college on how the new approach for service cultures are going to be addressed. So I think it's not only the industry has to do it. I believe that the education, also education industries also has to work hand in hand with the industry has per se, to put in this new or design this new syllabi for the industry. And I'm sure Mr. Eddie would like to add that, and since you all are from the education
Education.
industry.
Mr. Eddie, you have anything to say?
Okay, right. So thank you, Mr. Regina. Actually, in our place also, so we have started the class for especially the practical class, for example, F&B class. So we have already practiced or told the students to always wear a glove and not to get too near to the gas. So we have to abide to follow all the SOPs stated by the MKN. So that is what the culture that we have to instill in the students before they go to the industry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Regina, and also Mr. Eddie. I also agree because for education side, usually we because part of our syllabus usually we will already teach the student on the safety and hygiene. So the back of the house is usually very familiar with all the SOP, sanitizing of tables, workstations, everything. So for them it's common to wash their hand every 30 minutes while doing their works. Everything is already in place before the pandemic. But for those people who were not very familiar with all these SOPs, these are the main concern, and these are the people that we are hoping to introduce more on our culture of this service culture, like the improvised service culture, I guess. Thank you for both the panel. So I'm moving on with the last questions. My last question will be for Mr. Eddie. So since the travel restriction was lifted, we can see that the travel boom is looming. So, but do you think that the industry is actually ready, in your opinion?
Okay, thank you, Mastura. I think this question we have answered actually. But yes, the industry are now ready to receive people, the travelers who come to stay and to enjoy the tourism. Yes, as we can see, the numbers I've mentioned just now, there are 11,853 local tourists have visited Langkawi during the 2 weeks of time from the 6th of September to 20th of September. And we can also see that the numbers of people who are booking in the hotel of Langkawi itself so had tremendously increased until the end of December. And the price also not bad. It is not like what we are having at this moment, Mr. Regional. So the price are hiking up again. So especially, so it's a good sign for the hoteliers, so the operators to gain back the revenue and all. So then, and yes, as we have said that the industry have need to focus more on the domestic. And yes, I've heard that the Indonesian government have actually suggested to start it over with this bubble tourism to start over with the collaborations of Phuket, Bali, and also Langkawi in order to get a numbers of people to come over. So I think it already mentioned, it's already reflect that the industry are ready to come again. And yes, I think the demand will be slightly changed if we can see if this pandemic is still going on. So if with this orang kata apa, what we call the income of people not that really good. So maybe they're still going for the travels, but they might stay at the hotel with 3 star and below. So rather than 4 and 5 stars, that is what in my opinion. So maybe they will slightly change a bit. So they will still go to the to travels, but then the demand will slightly change. And I think the hotel also has introduced health and safety campaign to build the guest confidence, just like what Mr. Reginald had mentioned just now. So we had also Echo Hotel and Resort with their campaign of All Stay Wells, Marriott International with a global cleanliness council and commitment to clean. All this will help for season. They have a lead with care. So all this campaign actually to boost put to boost again the confidence of the people to come over and stay in the hotel. And with the new procedure and standard hotels, which is the hotel have adopted at this short and a medium term. So in terms of food and beverage, front office and all that. So I think it should be good. We can see the number will increase from time to time. Thank you, Ms. Mastura.
Mr. Regina, you have anything to add?
No, no, no. I think
Okay.
Mr. Eddie has covered it
Thank
all there.
you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Eddie. So I believe that tourists is already, they just pack their bags and wait for the announcement so that they can go
exactly.
for holiday. And because of that, I also believe that industry is also ready because as what Mr. Reginald said earlier, that they have a lot of SOPs implemented, ready to make sure that everyone is safe, to make sure the staff, the internal, external customer are all safe and ready for the industry to continue to boom. So sorry, so I think it is good to have all the SOPs, everything ready. So we have done with all the questions for the panels, so we are now open for Q&A sessions. If you have any questions, you can ask us so that we can post it to our panels. Maybe we can go for our first questions. So our first question is from Alice Tan. Should more travel bubble be conducted in order to recover the tourism and hospitality industry? So I think maybe we can ask Mr. Reginald to give some input on this.
Yes, I think that's a very pertinent question. I agree that more travel bubbles should be implemented or introduced. But of course, you start with Langkawi, but there has to be to introduce a travel bubble. You need to ensure that there is a controlled movement of people coming into a particular area.
Hmm.
So the reason why you can do it with Langkawi because you can only fly in, and those who want to come in by road, they have to go through a travel agent. So that is what travel bubble is about. Uh, if it is other destinations, maybe Bangkok can be one, or
Mm,
maybe Tioman can be one, because there's also you're also able to control people coming in and out. Those maybe Sabah can be one, because Sabah can also have you can't drive to Sabah, so people have to fly to Sabah,
so can
KK.
come.
So these are areas which you can look at travel bubble, but I believe that for it to recover, we need the international tourists to come in, because there's so much domestic. I mean, domestic tourism, people have to work. At the end of the day, even though they've been on an 18 months work from home, I think come January, a lot of them are going to go back to
Mm,
actually going back to the workplace. So we will still need to have the foreign tourists to come in and support the industry. You still need to have all these international business seminars, all right, the meeting incentives, conventions and exhibitions to start. These are the contributing factor to the tourism industry directly and indirectly. Thank you.
mm. Thank you, Mr. Reginald. I also agree with you because we cannot depend only on the domestic tourism because it's not sustainable. People have to go back to normal daily life activity, which is not only
Yes.
depend to travel. It have to go to work, schools, and so on. So we will need the international tourists to come in for us to generate back our economy. Thank you very much. So we are going for our second questions. I think this question we can give to Mr. Eddie. After the last 18 months of lockdown, what you can advise students on their future preparation to work in this industry?
Okay, thank you, the Miss Mastura. And answering to this question, actually, yes, students a bit relaxed and didn't get much exposure on the industry stuff. So during these 18 months of the lockdown, so what we can do, the students, the college or the institution itself have should prepare the students or to work along with industry to give them more exposure. Just like what we are planning to do is to give them more externship programs or industry expansion and learning program. So then for them actually to get prepared themselves before they step into the industry to work or to do their internships. So the exposure with the industry is very important to make them first to understand what are the regulations or the SOPs needed to work in the industry and expect and the second one is the skills that we have to actually to build in ourselves, especially in dealing with this situation. We have like what Miss Mastura have mentioned just now. We have an unpredictable guest. They might be get angry and they might be shout at us because of the procedures and how to deal with this actually. So the soft skill that the student have should actually have in them. So this is a very important the soft skill. This is what the most of people have lacking now. So we are looking forward actually to have more programs within the industry to give them exposure on this. Thank you, Ms. Mastura.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eddie. But due to time constraint, we are unable to pose more questions. So we only have two questions for today. We have more questions, but we cannot. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have enough time to share. So I think let me conclude today's sessions first. We believe that the development of more travel bubbles with the critical market will help to boost back our industry at the same time to help our economy to improve and also especially to those who were impacted with the pandemic. So I think everyone is ready as what we discussed just now. Everyone is ready. The industry is ready with all the SOP. People also already being equipped with all the SOPs in their mind and being teach day by day. So if everyone follow SOPs, industry, tourists, guests, everyone follow SOP, I believe we can all continue living as usual, even though we have this pandemic with us, but we can still continue doing living and also going for traveling. So thank you very much, our panels. Thank you very much, Mr. Reginald and also Mr. Eddie for joining us today for this session. All
Can
right.
I just add something before
Sure,
we
sure.
end?
Can.
Uh, I
Please.
also spent a lot of time in education before,
Okay.
and I'm very passionate about education. Now, you say there were other questions that you can't we couldn't address. maybe if it's okay with you, you could send us the questions, all right, via email, and we can reply and you can share it with the
The
students,
students.
because I'm
Yes,
sure
yes,
they got
sure,
a lot
sure.
of things. There are a lot of things. They're very anxious. All right, they haven't had time, so just drop us an email, and then we can both reply, and then you can share our response with the students, and
Sure.
it's sharing for them. Yeah.
Sure, sure. All
Okay.
right, all right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Regina
Thank you.
and Mr. Eji. So, for all our audience, if you have any questions or you have any informations that you would love to know more on Malaysia Associations of Hotel and also Unisham, you can go to this contact number, especially their Facebook account and their website, to get more information. And then for our future students, to all SPM leavers, we are offering scholarships and also rebates for our diploma and degree program. So if you are interested, you can come and visit us at Jalan Green Hall, or you can also contact the numbers and also email as seen on screen. And please also stay with us for our third session later on the alumni tea talk sessions, our third session at 2 p.m. This one is using the Zoom link. We are going to share some story from our alumni. We have our alumni from Diploma in Tourism and also our degree students, Mr. Rashdan, our alumni from Diploma in Culinary Art, Miss Putri Nur Atika, and also our alumni from SEGi College Sarawak, Mr. Jackson. So we will have this session at 2 p.m. later. So we would like to say thank you once again to Malaysian Associations of Hotel, Mr. Reginald and also Miss Siti Nazihan, Unishams, Mr. Eddie Effendi, Mr. Lee Chin Chin, SEGi College Penang, Mr. Lee Chin Chin, School of Hospitality, team member, Mr. Kenny from Marketing, Miss Anis from Outreach, and also our special thanks to all students and members of SEGi College Subang Jaya, SEGi College Sarawak, and also SEGi Kuala Lumpur. With that, I thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.